Have you ever wondered if there's like an actual blueprint for financial success? Well, today we're going to break down the 9 financial habits that took one YouTuber from being a bartender with barely any income to a self-made millionaire. So, this is Sorrel Amore. She's an entrepreneur who built her wealth mostly through online businesses and hit millionaire status by the time she was 31. Now, her story isn't about getting lucky. It's about a systematic, step-by-step change in her financial habits, and we are going to unpack every single one. And really, the transformation is just staggering. I mean, she went from being a bartender with a really modest income to a millionaire who owns 3 different properties. So how on earth did she bridge that gap? Well, it all started with one simple but incredibly powerful rule. This, right here, was her absolute foundation. Even way back when she had next to nothing, she lived by this rule. And what's so interesting is, even as a millionaire today, she still sticks to it. This one habit made sure she never got caught in that vicious cycle of debt, which, you guessed it, brings us to the first part of her strategy. So this first phase is all about creating stability. Before you can even think about growing wealth, you need a solid base to stand on. These first 3 habits are designed to stop you from sinking and get you firmly on that path to financial security. Okay, so first things first, habit number 1 is all about escaping that nasty debt trap. In a world that's screaming, buy now, pay later, Sorrel draws a really clear line in the sand. Bad debt is for stuff you don't really need, lifestyle things. The only good debt she sees is for real emergencies, education that's going to boost your skills, or assets that actually grow in value. Your number 1 mission? Get rid of that bad debt as fast as you possibly can. Now, once you start tackling that debt, you might be wondering, where does the money come from? Well, most people follow this flow right here. Income comes in, they pay all their bills and expenses, and then they try to save whatever's left over, which, let's be honest, is usually not much. This right here is the financial trap. So let's just flip that whole model on its head. This is habit number 2, and it's inspired by that classic book, The Richest Man in Babylon. The second your income hits your account, before you pay a single bill, you pay yourself. A minimum of 10% gets moved directly into a separate savings account. Then, and only then, do you figure out how to live off the 90% that's left. And this is such a brilliant way to think about it. We've all heard that flight safety announcement, right? Put on your own oxygen mask first before you help others. It's the exact same logic with your money. You have to secure your own financial well-being first. After that, the money you're spending on your expenses is, in a way, helping others by paying for their stuff. Okay, so you're paying off debt and you're saving that 10%. But what are you actually saving for? Habit number 3 is building your safety net. This is your emergency fund. The goal here is to stack up enough cash to cover 3 to 6 months of your essential living expenses. This fund is not an investment. Think of it as insurance against stress. It gives you that breathing room and clear-headed space you need if you ever face a sudden job loss or a crisis. All right, so with that foundation getting solid, it is time for part 2, mastering your cash flow. And listen, this is not about being a cheapskate or restricting yourself. It's about awareness and making conscious, intentional choices with every single dollar. I want you to just pause for a second and honestly ask yourself this question. Can you account for where pretty much every dollar went last month? If the answer is kind of fuzzy, hey, you are not alone, and this next habit is exactly for you. And that leads us right into habit number 4. You have got to know your numbers. See, there's this unwritten financial law that says our expenses just have a magical way of rising to meet our income. You get a raise, and somehow you're still broke at the end of the month, right? The only weapon you have against this lifestyle inflation is a plan, and that plan is a budget. It's not about saying no to everything. It's about telling your money where to go instead of just wondering where it all went. Now, as your income starts to grow, a budget by itself isn't quite enough. You need habit number 5, keeping more of what you earn by actually understanding the rules of the game, like taxes. For example, just look at this table from Thailand. A corporation often has a lower tax rate and can deduct way more business-related expenses. Now, the lesson here isn't that everyone needs to go out and incorporate. The point is that understanding the financial system is a super powerful tool for optimization. Next up, let's talk about where all that money goes. Habit number 6 is to tame your expensive hobbies. Look, whether it's shopping for the latest fashion or collecting pricey gadgets, we have to recognize that billion-dollar marketing departments are working 24/7 to convince us to spend. The counter move is to consciously choose simpler, low-cost activities that bring you just as much joy. You know, a picnic in the park, a movie night at home, or just getting lost in a good book.
Okay, and now we get to the really exciting part. With a solid foundation under your feet and your cash flow under control, you are ready for the final phase, making your money start working for you. This is where you shift from playing defense to playing offense and really start building some serious wealth. So why can't you just keep stacking cash in a bank account? The answer is this silent wealth killer: inflation. Every single year, the cash that's just sitting in your bank account buys less than it did the year before. Saving is for security, sure, but it is not a growth strategy. To beat inflation, you absolutely must invest. And that is where habit number 7 comes in: unleashing the incredible power of investing. This slide shows it perfectly. It's called compound growth, and it's this amazing process where the money your money earns starts earning its own money. It starts slow for sure, but over decades, it just snowballs into significant wealth. Searle's thing is real estate, but the key is to study up, find what works for you, and just get started. So how do you find more money to invest? Well, that brings us to habit 8, plugging the financial leaks. Searle uses the analogy of a leaky tap. You know, one single drop seems like nothing, but over time, it can fill a whole bucket. It's the exact same with your finances. That streaming service you never use, bank fees on an old account, paid SMS alerts you don't even need. These tiny recurring charges add up and drain your resources. Plugging them can feel like giving yourself an instant pay raise. And finally, we've arrived at maybe the most important habit of all. Number 9, your mindset. So many people have a negative relationship with money. They see it as stressful or even evil. Searle reframes this with a simple truth. In our world, money is a tool. It's the tool that buys you freedom, it buys you security, and it buys you the ability to live life on your own terms.
Whew, okay, that was a lot of information, I know. So let's just boil it all down into a simple 3-step action plan you can literally start using today. First, build your foundation. Destroy that bad debt and save up your 3 to 6 month safety net. Second, master your daily cash flow with a clear budget and go plug all those wasteful leaks. And third, once you have that surplus, you actively grow your wealth with investing and smart financial planning. And that's the blueprint. See, it's not about becoming a millionaire overnight. It's about making small, consistent changes that just compound over time. So the real question is this: looking at this whole plan, which single habit will you commit to changing starting right now?